everybody knows, Bill's safety, hard to talk about it, was injured in the game Monday night. Cincinnati is in the Cincinnati hospital, and we wish him the best. And so, like I said, we'll do our best to talk football in a respectable way. The NFL has announced that Week 18 will go on as scheduled. The Bills-Bengals game officially suspended, which means that it's not been canceled or forfeited or anything, so that hangs in the balance. They may decide what to do with that game after this week, but we'll get into all of that. In any case, welcome everybody to the show. We'll open the chat up here in just a little bit, but before we get into all the stuff, so we can close the books on Week 17 and get you ready for the essentially the playoffs, because that's what's happening next weekend, even though this weekend a lot will have impact on that. We'll cover that. Wayne, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, Ref, on behalf of you, Captain Jack, the entire show and staff, I would like to extend our prayers and well wishes to Damar Hamlin, his family, the Buffalo Bills, and also Cincinnati Bengals, and everybody involved with that. That was ranks up there at one of the most, I guess, breathtaking moments in sports that I've witnessed live. And I think the league handled that well, postponing that game. And like I say, we're just pulling for this guy who's fighting for his life as we speak tonight.
Yep, definitely. All right.
And I'm wearing. I would say that I think that you say that now, Wayne, but I'm not going to try to denigrate. Again, my prayers, my thoughts are with Damar and his family. But you spoke about the NFL, and I firmly believe that Joe Buck was not being fed BS, that the NFL wanted to finish that game. And thank God for the coaches to come to their senses and say, no, our team is not going to play after that. Because if the NFL had their way, which is why Joe Buck kept saying at least 3 or 4 times, well, there will be a 5-minute warm-up period. They had their agenda because the National Football League, a.k.a. the obnoxious, there's the N for the obnoxious freaking L for like pounds and dollar signs and all the other things. That's what the L is. The L is like, the British pound is like an L, and then dollar signs and all that thing. That's what they had on their agenda. So again, prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family. And if you want to support him, then go out and get that charity that he was doing with the toys and the other thing. I'd be nice to do. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to take advantage of the thing, but
this is unprecedented situation that we're in. So however we want to handle it respectfully is entirely up to us. And that's, with all that said, I'm ready. I think Cap's ready. Lee, are you ready?
Ready to roll it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Welcome, everyone, to NFL Nation Live. I am Ref Guru. This is our Week 18 show. We're going to close the books on Week 17, get you ready for Week 18. Some games have some playoff implications. A few of them do not. In any case, joining you tonight is the Hall of Famer, Wayne Violator Mabry, and the legendary Pirate, Captain Jack. As we said in the green room before and in our pregame, if you will, or pre-show, hearts and prayers going out to Bill's safety. Hamlin. So in that case, we're going to try to move forward as respectfully as we can, given all the things that are at stake. But it was a tough one. In any case, let's get the chat room going, keep it real. And that said, Dallas went into Tennessee last week, took care of the Titans. The Titans are in big trouble. I think we should put them on the clock, but because I think they got to go to Jacksonville this week, and they're going to get hammered. by a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's pretty liquored up on the opportunity to win the division. But you got to appreciate the way the Cowboys are playing here at the end, towards the end of the season. The Eagles falling off a little bit. We'll get to that week 18. But Dallas got to
figure out who you gonna talk about so I can put the dang hat on correctly. Dang it, you say Cowboys, and then you say Titans. You say Cowboy. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about, boy.
Well, everybody knows that by now. That's not new news. They're Wyatt. But I'm wearing my number 3 tribute shirt. I'm wearing my number 3 tribute shirt. That's all that matters. You can call me whatever you want to, but this week you will not call me insensitive.
I already dropped F-bombs on that Wild Wild West show because they talked about a TB12 guy, and I told it I dropped about 7 or 8 F-bombs. Don't even do that. I don't want to drop F-bombs on your show.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, brother.
Well, in any case, Dallas got the win, and I think we could agree that Tennessee's in big trouble, right?
Well, we don't have to worry about one second there, partner. I just want to get this through. We don't have to worry about it. We got moonshine. Now you can go on.
One question in the chat was who are the refs for the Raiders game, and the answer is Scott Novak, which is. Not that there could be any good news really at this point, but that's certainly not one of them. We got a Walt Coleman on this crew. We got a Trey Boger on this crew. We got a David Mesler on this crew.
You're talking about the dregs of society. That I don't need to get liquored up, and I'm not even watching that game. But the damn Raider fans, hey, if you want to have some good moonshine, dial BR549. That's all I'm going to say. BR549. We'll get it right out to you.
It says we should charge $10 for a subscription. Well, that would mean we'd probably make $30. But thanks for the offer, Ed.
Yeah, I like
you might
that
be
too,
on to
man.
something. You might be on. Tennessee will be on the couch with the fifth of whiskey watching the flip. That indeed they will. I think they're probably going to be going home.
Yeah.
They're just going to run into a Jacksonville team that's all liquored up right now and being able to win the division, and they don't have a lot going on at quarterback. And at this point, we've talked about this before, right? Let's call it what it is. We've said that like everybody else, the cliche is in December, January, you got to run the ball, play good defense. That's true. And Tennessee's doing that. The problem is you also got to try to put some points on the board, and they are not doing that. They are 28 of 32 teams in terms of scoring. I think along with Detroit, who's going to hit a brick wall this week in the color of a green and gold, I think we put them and Tennessee on the clock. I mean, the Lions have had a nice run, but it's pretty much over, I think, for them.
Don't you talk about my Lions like that?
Yeah, I knew that was funny. Okay. We haven't talked about them yet. We'll get to you.
I'm ready for you. You imbecile.
Oh, yeah. What is that? Is that a raccoon or?
It's a friggin' beret.
Right. It looked like a dead raccoon.
Okay. F you. I got a real beret here too.
That one I understand. The other one looked like a dead raccoon. Tennessee doesn't have enough talent on offense to finish games. That's true. They probably a lot of other things that couldn't finish either. We got to take those refs back to the sewer. Well, okay, maybe. But I will say this: the crew. Monday night handled the game pretty well, quite frankly, all things considered. There's no playbook for that. I can assure you. Everybody understands at that level because I've been through it. I've been through the security briefings, blah, blah, blah. Everybody understands what the game operations points happen during that in terms of logistics and level 1 trauma center activity and all the other medical stuff that has to happen. But you take a guy who collapses on the field, cardiac arrest, there's no roadmap for that. It's a one-off every time you do it. And kudos to everybody there who was at the stadium and all the things that they had to do to make this thing come out, at least at this point, from what we understand, in a positive note. It could have been a lot different.
Oh yeah.
Arizona went into Atlanta, got beat by the Falcons. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore. I think that was a little bit of a surprise with the Ravens playing at home with so much at stake. The division is now on the line for the Ravens and Bengals, and when we get to Buffalo and Cincinnati, we'll talk about how we think as fans they're feeling. We can't speak specifically for them, but we know as fans how we're feeling, and we're human. They're human. There's going to be some, not totally, but there's going to be some parallels in there about their mindset with regards to playing football and the psychology of it, in addition to the impacts of the game. But it was a nice win for the Steelers. They're still in this thing. Things could happen, and the Steelers could accidentally make the playoffs. I wouldn't mind seeing that. They're playing pretty well, but we'll see how that plays out. Chicago went into Detroit to take on the Lions. Didn't really end very well for the Bears. So Pierre, Jacques, whatever your name is, what do you got?
I give you a better beret.
What do
I
you?
have the easy beret. This is my formal beret. It's got Captain Jack's pin on it.
Oh, I like that. That's pretty cool.
It's a beautiful thing. It's bueno. Damn, wrong language. It's bellissima. There's another long language that's still Italian. It's beautiful.
So are you done? Can we talk football now? You beat the Bears pretty convincingly, quite frankly. Not that, of course, the Bears aren't very good, but it's going to be a whole different story for you this week. So you can talk about that now or later. But I think you're going to get your beret handed to you on Sunday night.
You better watch your mouth, Mel. I got some words for you. I got words for you, Mel.
Yeah. Jay is like, I wish I could have been there to pray directly for DeMar. God bless him. Absolutely. But you know what the good news is, we don't have to debate the faith-based aspect of this thing, but you can pray from anywhere. And I totally get why you would say that and why it would be important to be on site, because there's a different vibe when you're in the moment there. But that doesn't diminish our opportunities that we have to support him even from afar. So, but I appreciate that comment, and I respect that comment.
Beautiful lady. I love her.
Jacksonville took care of Houston, and what they did by beating the Texans to set up that showdown this week at home against Tennessee for a division title. Jacksonville's going to the playoffs. DeMar is alive and recovering. Could be worse. Absolutely could be worse.
Tennessee again.
Yeah, we're going to go to we're going to talk about Tennessee a little bit if you want to, but I think the thing for the Jaguars, V, is that they're peaking at the right. I don't think they're going deep, but they're not a team somebody wants to play, and getting division title means you're going to get a home game. So they're going to play a wild card team at home. And when you look at the potentials for the AFC wild card picture, you're talking Baltimore, the LA Chargers, New England, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Miami, maybe Tennessee, blah blah blah. So somebody's going to go into Jacksonville. It's probably Baltimore, right? Because if Jacksonville's the number 4 seed, and they probably will be based on their record, then they'll probably play the highest rated wild card team, right? So they probably get the Ravens at home, but that's not a win for the Ravens at all, right?
Absolutely not. And here's why. Everybody is kind of writing the Jaguars off, and
a little bit, yeah.
We've seen them, and we kind of written them off too. But Doug Peterson has these guys believing in themselves, and they've got, all you need to do is get on a run at the right time. They're on that right time run. They could beat whoever they're playing Sunday, and they could also win that first home playoff games. So don't write these guys off. That quarterback, you can see his maturity from last season.
No question about it.
He's definitely a leader, man.
Yep. Yeah, and Matt's comment in the question, which I already answered, but I'll go in a little more detail. Asked if it's the Daryl LaMonica jersey. It is. It's actually a signed Daryl LaMonica jersey. It's most of it's on the back. But it's also the number 3. And it's the only number 3 I have. So I wore it in honor of our friend DeMar. The fact that those teams are in the playoffs in AFC is depressing. We wish we could have seen Stidham start sooner. Who knows? Well, that's probably true on that front, but we'll never know.
We'll never know.
The good news is, come February 15th or whatever, we can put the season behind us and move on. But it is what it is from that standpoint, and I agree with that comment. Let's see, where were we?
I was going to say Jacksonville is probably one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. I think they've won 4, if not 5 straight games. It's definitely there. The defense is one of the better defenses, and the offense is clicking with Sunshine and Etienne. They got great receivers. I think Mercedes Lewis is on that team, although he's about 1,000 years old, but he's doing the job.
He still contributes. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Waller were on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt's right that we still need some help with defense, but
definitely. We'll get into that later, Matt.
Yeah, but I think they're working on it.
Yeah, it takes not signing a guy by the name of Brady and using your money on defense.
Copy that. Denver went into Kansas City and gave the Chiefs all they wanted. They almost knocked the Chiefs out of an opportunity to stay with the number 1 seed, even though Monday night's game kind of put everything into a little bit of a holding pattern. Chiefs got away with it by a 3-point win, took care of they've had the division title for a while, but probably locked up the number 1 seed in addition to just us not knowing where the Bills are going to be when this thing is done. So it could be that Kansas City gets the number 1 seed. We'll see.
I don't know, Coach. Or sorry, not Coach. Ref. See, you got that jersey on. It's confusing me. If you go through win percentage, who has the higher win percentage right now? Because that's what it might come down to. Are you looking at the standings? Is Kansas City number 1 based on win percentage right now?
Kansas City is 11-4. Buffalo is still 12-3.
Right.
So there you go. If you go on that, Buffalo will have it.
Time out. I screwed it up. Kansas City is 13-3. I was looking at the wrong. Kansas City is 13-3. So Buffalo's game Monday night with Cincinnati made a difference because they would have been tied, right? Now there may not be a tie. So my point was that Kansas City may very well get the division. The number one seed by de facto, but that's still in the balance. If they beat New England this week and maybe the Raiders beat the Chiefs, then they're tied again. So the tiebreaker is, I think the first tiebreaker is probably interconference play.
I thought it was head to head.
Well, I don't think they played Buffalo. Oh, they did play Buffalo. They lost by 4 points.
Yeah,
all right. So if they end up tied, Buffalo's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's the thing. Buffalo, had they beaten Cincinnati and they beat New England, Kansas City didn't have a chance to get the number 1 seed because they wouldn't have had 12, 13, 14. They could have their records would have been tied, but Buffalo's a tiebreaker. Okay. So that said, we could still end up with a tie. Kansas City ends 13-4, and the Buffalo ends up 13-3 because they beat New England. Notwithstanding whatever they do or don't do with the Cincinnati Bengals game that's been suspended, then Buffalo still wins. So, we could hope for a Raiders win and the Chiefs aren't the number 1 seed.
Oh, let's do that. Let us dictate who the number 1 seed will be.
Yeah.
Let us do that.
Well, I think that would be cool, actually, if we did that. Frankly.
Let's be the spoilers for once.
Yeah. So we'll go to Coach B in a second. But let's cover, Indy went into New York, got beat by the Giants. And kudos to the Giants. You know what? They're one of the stronger wild card teams out there in the NFC. We'll talk about the seeding and all that kind of stuff. But the other game, Miami went into England, couldn't hold on, and beat the Patriots. Patriots got away with one, quite frankly. It was a 2-point win for the Belichick. So Coach, I know last week we said you're moving on, or 2 weeks ago we said you're moving on Cincinnati. Yeah. You beat Miami. Now you got Buffalo this week. So what's going on in New England right now?
Well, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's 2 points. What is the great words of the great Al Davis? Just win, baby. 2 points, a half a point, a decimal point. Just win, baby. And I emulate that with my team. The New England Belichicks are the best team in the NFL. Okay, I can't wait to unveil that new logo. By the way, it's going to have, yours truly with. I'm already actually kind of like, looking at, I'm going to look like, Frida in the Peanuts, with my naturally curly. It's going to be my naturally awesome hoodie. That's going to be
Okay.
what's on the side of the helmet. New England
Okay.
Belichick's. Be sure to get yours at NFL Locker, Lids, and Fanatics immediately after the season when the change is put in. And we're giving out also coupons to the Wild Orchid Club. That's with crap, but that's down in Stewart. You got to pay your own transportation, but it is Wild Orchid. It comes with the new logo. Anyway,
Matthew says we're getting your buddy Brady soon. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'd rather not talk about that because I signed a non-disclosure agreement because I was like, I know that Captain Jack was like dropping F-bombs on the show earlier about that, and I signed a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, so I've gotten it out of the way. NDA, TB12, FU. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, all right. In that case, the Saints went into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles. There's a game the Eagles didn't really have to win. I won't say that they even have to win this week, but man, they got some stuff to fix. The Jalen Hurts has been out of this offense for a while now. They really, and I don't know if he's going to play on Sunday, but if they go into the playoffs, even as a number 1 seed, and they might not be that. I think if the Giants beat them and San Francisco wins, San Francisco might be the number 1 seed. Let me double check that. San Francisco
with that win against the Raiders, that really helped their causes.
Yeah, San Francisco's 12-4. If they win, they'll be 13-4. If Philadelphia loses, they'll be 13-4.
One bad duck away from a Devontae Adams touchdown from Stidham, which would have won the game. One duck, and it's because of Bosa.
Bosa, caused a bump in there, but you got to appreciate an offensive line that didn't give up any sacks against probably one of the best defensive lines, if not the best defensive line in the NFL.
I thought Stidham was sacked. I thought once.
Oh, baby.
I think he got sacked once and hit a couple times. But
he got sacked once, but he ran out of everything. And for those people, and again, I'm not a Kardashian. But if Derek Carr would have been in that game, the Raiders wouldn't have been even close to sniffing a victory in that game.
I totally agree with you on that front. But the Raiders also gave everybody a blueprint for how to beat this 49er defense, and that's you need a scrambling quarterback.
And score points.
And score points.
And put points up. You got it.
Yep. Carolina went into Tampa Bay. Couldn't get it done against the Bucks. So Tampa Bay, unfortunately, wins the NFC South. They'll get a home game. Probably against Dallas, but I think it's probably safe to say that they're going to be one and done. They're just not playing well enough, and I'm just not sure their heart's in it at this point. Cleveland went to Washington and beat the Commodores. San Francisco went to Las Vegas and beat the Raiders by just it's kind of a bummer to lose by 3 points when you got the best field goal kicker in the NFL. But that's what happened. But I think you guys were at or near the game. What was your take on what you saw Sunday against the 49ers, other than a bunch of red jerseys in the stands?
But aside from the stadium looking like it was in the monthly, arena, that offense performed well, and everybody around me was like, "Where's this guy been?" When it came to the defensive side, we played a decent game, but they don't know how to finish teams off with a lead. And we always get painted back into the corner, and then we're playing desperate football. It's not a good look, and it's very predictable. That's what we got to fix this offseason.
Well, and then a few things on defense as well, too. But
no, I'm talking about defense.
Right.
Whatever money is spent need to be spent on the defensive side of the ball.
Agreed. And am I off base here, or are we starting to put together what looks to be a pretty good offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have it. And remember, Illuminor's on a 1-year deal. I don't know whether he's going to be re-signed or not. It would be nice to bring him back. But you remember, you got Mumford, who's probably going to take over that spot. You're still about a guard away. Yeah. And then they're going to figure out they're either a guard or a center away. Yeah. But you get both. Those in the draft. And you keep the guys that we have. I like what Alex Bars has done this year. He's played, played very well. Very well. Yep. And you put that offensive line together with a scrambling quarterback, because again, a quarterback that knows the system and can move out of sacks and doesn't throw the ball away when he's by the sideline. I'm sorry, that's one of my peeves about
DDC, but that I don't have to worry about that anymore. But the offense scored 34 points against the number one, if not number 1, 2, or 3 defense in the NFL.
In the league.
34 points. And if it wouldn't have been for that duck, we would have won that game, baby. I don't care that Mike Sarah said that he was double covered. He still beat the guy.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly, and couldn't stand up, couldn't, I think, complete the throw because he couldn't step into it.
No, not at all.
But
stepped into Colton Miller. That's what he stepped into.
But here's what I think is interesting, really, because on this show we try to be as realistic as we can about what we're seeing. But when was the last time on this show where we talked about a Raiders loss with any sort of optimism? Because all the other ones have had some sort of negative connotation to them.
Right.
You know, this one was different. I understand it was still a loss, but we've for a long time now, have we gone through a loss where we've said, well, you know, things could have been better or different? I don't remember that. It's been
only the first Kansas City game, and I say the first Kansas City game. I think that we remember we were up. And that was against Kansas City on a Monday night up 17-0 before the officials came and took it away from us.
Well,
that game we had as well.
Yeah.
Now, I said, and somebody did the stat, and it was like, I think that we've lost by a total of 33 points this year. I think that was the number. 32 or 33 points this year. 1, 2, 3, all of these. And you can get it there, Ref. But like I said, you put half of those games as W's, we're in the playoffs. Just like they said, watching these guys that are making the playoffs as wild card teams, it would have been maybe, like I said, would have been us and the Chargers, or if not the Chargers, we would have been that extra wild card team. It's infuriating. Okay, I know it should have, but it's
I get it. The Raiders have lost all of their games by a total of 57 points. Now,
but remember, that also included that whooping. Okay,
in
I wasn't
New Orleans.
talking about the New Orleans game.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Every other game, but out of the 57, 20, that's 24 of it right there. So that's almost, you know, almost half. But my point is that if you look at the other games, Cap, because I'm backing you up by what you're saying, and what I'm reinforcing with what you're saying is that all the other games have been single-digit losses, and the biggest one was at Jacksonville by 7. So we had a couple 6s, a couple 5s, a 2, a 1, a 3, and a 3. I mean, I'm with you when you're saying that even though we're a -5 and we gave up 5 more points than we scored, we are 12th in the NFL in scoring. We hovered around the top 10 for quite a while. Last week with 34 points really helped us. But, you know, to say that we're way off is not accurate. We'd like to be closer than we are, and had any 3 or probably 3 of those games gone differently, okay, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But again, the loss to the Rams with the whole Baker Mayfield thing was frustrating. So, but my point is, when you look at that Rams loss and what we had to deal with in talking about that loss, the dynamic is completely different in the discussion with the loss with the 49ers.
True.
I mean, the topics of the conversations we're having is totally different. We're talking now about some good quarterback play, some pretty good offensive line play. We've been talking about Jacobs and Adams. They've been the highlight the whole season, and they've not disappointed. But to be able to talk about a loss in a different light, to me, is really a change that maybe is going to help us turn the corner.
Here's my take. I want to jump in on that comment, Ref, that you were talking about there. Now, you say we were ranked, we hovered around the top 10 offensively as far as scoring. What if that defense came up about 10 more notches from where it sits right now?
Exactly. Yeah.
We'd be having a different conversation altogether.
Yep.
So they've been ignoring this. From my own personal knowledge, it's been patchwork for the last 10 or 15 years at least. Patchwork.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So between the scouts, front office, you guys got to do a better job of bringing blue chip players in if you want to hold up another trophy in your lifetime.
I think you're right. You hit that one on the nail on the head. And I think Cap got the other one, which is just some depth on the offensive line. You need depth everywhere, but we definitely need depth there. And then you're right on the defense. Mike's got a point there. Says he's talking about Stidham. Even if he had a clean throw, I assume he's talking about the last.
Yeah,
he
is. And you know
he
what?
would have had to complete the pass probably, but
yeah, I did you not see the catch that Adams made to get the record? Okay.
Oh yeah, that was right.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
okay.
That was ridiculous.
And the way it looked that between matching Adams' speed and where the pass would have been parabolically, see, there's your big word of the day, parabolically, it was going right to him. Okay. Instead it ducked. It was like a mini Ray Guy shank punt. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a duck.
Well, and when you get an offensive lineman pushed back into you, like you said, you can't step into it. And again, it's Bosa, and that's what they do, blah, blah, blah. But again, I still think the issue here is that we're having a different conversation about this loss than we've had about any other one.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even leave the stadium upset because I saw a classic, like I say, heavyweight championship fight. That was that kind of game.
And I think it says a lot about maybe a cultural change there, because this is the week after they benched Derek Carr, a guy who's been with them relentlessly for the last 9 years, and all of a sudden he's gone, and you're gonna start your backup, and so what does that say? If you've lost the culture or the locker room, whatever, that they're just not going to play. But they played. They showed up. They're like, we can do this.
Play.
So that was encouraging as well too. That maybe something on that front has turned the corner. No,
I give more credit, ref, because it was the Bay Area, the Battle of the Bay. Even though we're not in the Bay, that was still the mindset. And just talking to the Niner fans around me, it's still the Battle of the Bay, and it's never going to end.
Yeah. Well, and I agree, and I agree with you. I think over time that may fade, but there's still a lot to that rivalry, and maybe there always will be.
Yeah, I think it always will. It will live forever.
Yeah. The red crowd really pissed me off. Yeah, it did look like there were a lot of 49er fans there. The Jets went into Seattle and couldn't beat the Seabirds. No surprise there. We put the Jets on the clock a long time ago, so not a surprise there. Minnesota went into Green Bay, and, man, they got their whatever it was. They sunk their boat. The Packers did. Minnesota, I don't know what their deal is. They're going to get a home game, maybe against the Giants or whatever, but I think Minnesota's we don't know what we've got there. But I don't know if they're better than the Giants at this point. I'm not sure they are. In fact, if they were going to New York to have to play the Giants, I think they would.
I would give the Giants the edge.
Yeah. I think, and I'm saying Giants because if you look at the standings, Dallas is going to go to the number 2 seed, whoever that is. So it's going to be probably Philadelphia or San Francisco. I'm sorry, Dallas is going to go to Tampa Bay.
I was going to say, I thought we had Dallas going to Tampa.
Yeah, Dallas is going to go to Tampa Bay. So that means New York ends up going to the number 2 seed, Philadelphia or San Francisco.
Right.
More than likely.
One and done.
No. Wait a minute. The number.
I was going to say, is it Minnesota? Aren't they going to have another Giants Vikings rematch?
So hold on. Let's just call Philadelphia as the number 1 seed to make it easy. If they're the number 1 seed, then Dallas is going to Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay or Seattle, let's just call it Green Bay, goes to San Francisco, and the Giants go to Minnesota. So I think the scenario is here that the Giants are going to end up going to Minnesota. And I just don't know. I think the Giants are going to be ready.
Yeah,
I know we've put them on the clock, and that doesn't mean that it just means you're not going to the Super Bowl. But and I still think they're still missing a couple of pieces, but you got to appreciate the way they're playing. I think that could be a good one, quite frankly.
Yeah, that could
The
be
biggest
a good
surprise
one.
here to me, the
Definitely.
Giants making the playoffs. Well, yeah, that's probably true. Or maybe Jacksonville. I think when we saw Jacksonville early, they looked bad. They looked really bad. And now they're going to be potentially division champs.
Yeah.
Well, the
we'll
worst division champs or the fake Pirates. Come on, if you're gonna call the worst division champ fake Pirates, okay. Actually, the division champs of the South, okay, are horrible.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
although
Well, they're going to get beat by
Jacksonville
Dallas.
is a lot better than Tampa Bay.
I agree. Yep. Yeah, Tampa Bay's in bad shape. Depending on how Stidham plays this weekend will determine if he gets re-signed. I think he gets re-signed regardless of how he plays.
Yeah.
But
I don't think he hits free agent. He's supposed to be a free agent, but I don't think he ever gets there.
I don't think so either. Not with Carr being having all the collateral right now. I mean, you got to have somebody, and we've said all along that Stidham knows the offense. So the question is, he's either going to be the guy going forward, or they're going to bring somebody in as the bridge. And I think they're going to bring somebody in as the bridge.
That's my feeling too, Ref. Yeah.
And by the way, and I asked this, so this is good information. Hollywood did the stadium tour today, and Derek Carr's locker is still there. Just for the information of all hands, his stuff is still in that locker. So that means, in my estimation, that they are going to work with him there, him being a part. They're going to work a trade because he's still there. He has not been cut. They're going to work a trade with Derek Carr and team X, Y, and Z.
Right.
That's what that tells me.
I think they very well might make a trade.
And they got 2 or 3 days after the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
So they've got a little time there.
We could talk about where Derek Carr would make the most impact on the teams that need quarterbacks.
Well, that'll be another show after the season, right?
I think it would be awesome if he's part of a trade that goes to Tampa Bay. We get Brady, then we go to Super Bowl in Allegiant Stadium and play the Bucks.
And he walks away. He rides off on his white chariot, right?
Sure.
See, that's Hollywood football script right there. See,
like you said, I've said it, and I'm going to say his name, even though it's a curse word. TB12 wins his 3rd Super Bowl, the first quarterback to win for 3 different franchises,
Storyline.
and 2 of them being home games, which would never be touched against the Tampa Bay fake Pirates. I can see it.
Yeah, Can you imagine
that storyline stuff right there, guys? I'm telling you,
that's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood.
Or wherever Carr goes, it wouldn't really matter whether it's Tampa Bay or somebody else in the NFC. But it would have to be somebody in the NFC.
Yeah, they're going to try to do it. Yeah.
The Rams went into LA. It's hard to say the Rams went into LA, but the Rams played the Chargers, got beat by the Chargers. No surprise there. I was kind of hoping the Rams would show up with LA, with the Chargers really not having that much on the line already in the playoffs. I thought the Rams might play better. It was just frustrating to me that we made Baker Mayfield look like a Super Bowl MVP, and then 3 weeks later they can't beat the Chargers.
That part
essentially at home.
At home.
Like, really?
Yeah.
The Monday night game. We can talk about that if you want to or don't want to, but Buffalo was in Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The game was suspended after Mar Hamlin was injured. He's currently in the hospital, and allegedly, from the reports that we have, maybe not allegedly, but from the reports we have, doing better, which is all we know. So our hearts and prayers are with him and the entire football community, including his family, that they do well. And the football impact is that the game has been, at this point, suspended with no plans to figure out what to do with that game. So it's full steam ahead with Week 18. I think that probably the NFL wants to see how Week 18 plays out and whether or not the Buffalo-Cincinnati game has anything to do with where we are with regards to seeding or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, if it does play out. either logistically or with the game itself. But before we go to the commercial break and close the books on week 17, talk about week 18. We'll cover in week 18 the games that, there are several games that have playoff implications.
Right.
But before we get to that, you guys have any other comments about week 17 or the Monday night game in particular? We've covered a lot of that already, but I'll give you a chance here before we go to break to say what's on your mind.
Just hey, we've covered that and given it a lot of thoughts, and we call it hashing it over from podcast to podcast. But like I say, I've never witnessed something like this on the football field, other than the one high school guy that lost his life. And but to see it on, like say, I guess on the big stage, Monday Night Football, the whole yada yada, the whole world saw this. We didn't know. Yeah. And when he stood up and collapsed, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's a concussion or a delayed reaction to a concussion, but it was worse than that because he didn't move at all. He was done. Yeah. So kudos to the medical staff.
Absolutely.
Who jumped in there in a hurry, took care of business, but you could tell by the players' faces that it was serious.
It was very serious. Yeah.
And thank God there was an AED there. And before we close out any book, make sure you get your book, The Walk. The Walk. There you go. By Wayne Mabry, the Violator. Get yours today. See, I did the segue of closing out the book.
Speaking of which, of course, next week will be our week 19 show, right? As we head into the playoffs. If we beat Kansas City on Saturday, you will want to tune in our week 19 show. If we beat the Chiefs, we're going to give away some massively amount of cool stuff. That's all I'm saying. Maybe some of this over here. Maybe
Let's go.
Some of this back here.
Yeah. We some plastic bags that were given away at the stadium last week, which I will give to the proper people. Just saying.
If we beat the Chiefs, we're going to be giving away some massively cool stuff. I'm just saying. So be here for a week. You be here for a week 19 show either way. Doesn't mean we won't give away a prize, but next week will be epic if we beat the Chiefs. All right, we'll be back after the break. Stay tuned, everybody.
Are we giving away sailors according to Rob Matheson? Woohoo, baby! You must have caught my OnlyFans page.
We're giving away what?
Sailors.
Yeah.
Sailors. Yeah. Wow. Okay. In any case, welcome back to NFL Nation Live. We've closed the books of week 17. Let's get you ready for week 18, the final weekend of the regular season. Many games will have some sort of playoff implications, either for playoff seeding, a division title, or maybe just whether or not you make the playoffs at all. One of those games for seeding takes place on Saturday, where the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go into Las Vegas, take on the Raiders. Woo! This could be interesting if the Chiefs the Chiefs want the number one seed. Are they going to try to get everybody beat up in order to try to get it? Do they think they have the blueprint to beat us now? After they look at that tape from last week and go, oh, wow, maybe the Raiders are serious. I think if the Raiders come after the Chiefs like we went up to San Francisco last week, I think I think whatever that mascot is that they have that Amy Trask calls a giant rat.
The wolf, yeah.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
It's supposed to be a wolf.
Yeah, a wolf?
Yeah, it's a wolf. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the wolf and them go home with the big old L. What do you guys think?
Well, I hope he's down on my end of the stadium. I'm looking at it this way. I'm thinking,
have you ever seen him in real life? You probably scare the crap out of him.
Well, we'd definitely get some eye contact and some stuff going. Anyway, I got stories about that. I'm thinking Andy Reid is looking at he can put his third stringers out there, keep his first and second string guys ready for the real competition. I mean, all our overlooking the Raiders, but we can still come out at home, punch them in the mouth. It don't matter where we're going. Just leave them something to remember us by for next season.
So a couple comments. Chiefs don't have any threats at the receiver position other than Kelsey. I don't
Other
know.
than Kelsey,
So
Agree
they
about that.
they got enough to hurt us.
they got enough
Yeah.
to hurt us.
They got
Yeah,
enough to hurt us. But
for sure.
so another question there. So and I'll get to Matt's comment about the cheeseburger here in a second. But Benjamin's asking who's going to the game. Yeah, I actually tried to get suite tickets. They had a suite available for 4 tickets with the buffet and all that sort of stuff. I tried to get that, couldn't get it. I was going to surprise somebody on this show with 2 tickets to join me at the Raiders game. Of course, I know you guys are going to be there too, and you could have joined us as well. But I was going to try to get 2 folks from this show to go to the game with us, but I couldn't pull it off.
But if you really, really want to go to the game, and it's not for free, I ain't giving away tickets.
Damn.
But if you want to sit in Captain Jack's seats, 2 seats next to the Raiders tunnel, $1,000. Okay,
Woo!
right next to the Raiders tunnel. Not each. It's two at a
Oh,
grand.
I got you.
Two at a grand.
Got you.
$1,000. 2 seats next to the Raiders tunnel. Sit in my seats.
All right. So Matthew says $1,000 sit in the seat. Okay. Matt says, did you see the players gave Andy Reid a cheeseburger in the locker room? I did not see that.
I know I haven't seen that one either.
Is that a thing?
But only one, Matt? Only one?
But probably because the Wolf ate the other one.
Well, it's better than the Kansas City. The other guy, the fan who shall remain nameless, that like robs banks for games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's get a Raiders win. I have problems with the officiating crew this week, y'all.
Yeah, I know.
We've got Scott Novak again.
I think
we had him in week 8 in our loss to the Saints. Remember the 24-0 blowout?
Yeah.
And the problem with this game is massive. We've got a Walt Coleman on this crew. We've got a Trey Boger on this crew. We have a David Meslow on this crew.
What does that spell, Ref? Just put it out there
Disaster.
for those who don't know.
It spells a fix, but you know what?
Garbage calls.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, okay? Despite the refuse and
it's gone.
as my friend Jean-Claude Jacques would say, the merde
The
that we have to deal with, okay? If it's in Tagalog, it's tae. If it's in Spanish, it's caca.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how you see it or spell it, I'm going to say this. The Raiders of the 70s used to win games despite the officials. And I'm thinking it's going to happen this week.
Wow.
I wouldn't disagree with you if it was any other crew but this one. I don't disagree with you, but here's and I agree we won games in spite of the refs.
Score, Matt. 44-41. I like that.
But we had a lot of these new folks, a lot of garbage calls and then calls that aren't made. But this crew's loaded with bad karma, so I'm saying 44-41 Raiders. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'd take 42-41 Raiders.
I don't think it's going to even be that high.
I don't either. Nope. I don't either. 62-54. If the Raiders
24-21.
It's going to be low, man.
Yeah.
24-21.
I would love for the Raiders to put up 62 points. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just hope we get a win. Tennessee's going to go into Jacksonville for the division title in the AFC South. Tennessee's in big trouble. They're going to Jacksonville to play a Jaguars team that's pretty liquored up at this point and playing pretty well. I think Tennessee's in trouble. I think Jacksonville's going to win the game, win the division, and get a home game for the playoffs. And I think Tennessee will be out.
I got
losing 7 in a row.
I got them Jaguars too at home.
No matter. I told you we're all going to be all liquored up on the shine, and we're going to go out to all them titty bars in Jacksonville, so we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
Doesn't
all right.
matter. Don't
Well,
matter.
here's the
Bars and moonshine. That's all I'm saying.
here's the problem. The Tennessee has lost 6 games in a row.
Gonna be 7.
Yeah,
Wait,
they're going to be
if
7.
if
Guys,
I have to count, wait a second. There's how many of these on one?
are you from Tennessee or Kentucky? Because it matters.
Well, I'm kind of a tweener because I was on the border.
Okay,
So
5.5.
Brother and sister thing, like
5.5.
brother and sister, there's only one person there.
Okay, 5.5.
Or can moonshine? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Save me a corner.
Here's the deal. Tennessee is a minus 57. Okay, they've lost their games by 106 points. Jacksonville, we already know Jacksonville's going to win, but Jacksonville's rolling. They're a plus 50. All right, so Tennessee's in big trouble. I think Tennessee loses the game. I think Tennessee. Who's the ref for that one? Bill Vinovich. Actually, I was surprised Vinovich wasn't in Cincinnati.
No
Monday night.
No Chippy.
Right, and that's not the game that I would have actually sent him to this week either. Quite frankly, I would have sent it. Although it's a division game, I don't expect it to get Chippy. I would have sent him to Cincinnati. With the Ravens coming in there, but I absolutely would have had him in Pittsburgh or in Baltimore last week against the Steelers, or I would have had him in Cincinnati against Buffalo. But anyway, Vinovich is the R for that. But I just don't see that Jacksonville loses this game because they just turn the ball over. I just can't imagine that they find any other way to lose this game.
Actually, we're going to take them out to the titty bars too and give them shine. That's about the only way we can win this game is we're going to get them liquored up.
Who's them?
Them boys on the Jacksonville sideline.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I was going to say good luck getting Bill to do that. And his
not Vinovich. He already said they can't be Chippy.
That's true. Yeah, dip with those chips. Okay. Tampa Bay going to go into Atlanta, play a game that doesn't matter. It's interesting when you look at the officiating assignments for Week 18. You're getting a little bit of a hint of the crews that are going to make the postseason because you get a crew that's in Atlanta playing an invisible game. I don't know. Anyway, New England going to go into Buffalo to take on the Bills. I think there's a lot of things going on here. The Bills reeling still from Monday night. At some point, they're going to have to turn the corner and start to play football. It'll still be a challenge for them, I think, regardless of the situation that's transpired in the next couple of days with DeMar. But Coach B, you're going to be able to get a win on the road against a Bills team that's a little bit out of sorts.
Well, by the way, thanks for acknowledging the great presence of Coach Belichick, because again, I applaud you for kissing my ass on this show because
finally he likes me for something, B.
It's
taken 18 weeks, but I'm finally here.
Noted. Yeah, you got him. Wore him down.
You kind of grow on you like a fungus, so you know how.
Oh God, I got some spray for that though.
Yeah, jock it stuff. But by the way, I'm going to answer that question that Ed Winchell says that about that person that I can't talk about because of the NDA. He's playing.
Yeah.
He's playing.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. Now to the Belichick's coming up playing the Bills. I firmly believe that this might be the only way that we have a chance to beat Buffalo is because I don't know what the psyche of that team will be. I don't know about the psyche of that team because it was their player. And I give the coach over there, the guy that looks like your uncle because he has no hair and he's like very kind of like short and like he looks like a Marine that comes in for Thanksgiving dinner. That guy. He's a good guy. Okay. But the point is, and by the way, Gabe, he's not ducking your question. He already gave you culpas for the fact that your Giants won. The other team. Anyway, screw you, Gabe. I don't want to talk to you anyway. He was good with you. Okay. But the psyche the psyche of the Buffalo team, I don't know what we're going to be going up against. So if we come up and we catch them because it means something for us, it might be something that will be beneficial to the New England Belichicks.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody knows how that team is going. And I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit long-winded, but you are getting the great Coach Belichick on.
Hey, you're as good at blowing air as anybody else.
I'm sorry I couldn't hear you because my ears were in the city. I was just like saying.
I said you're doing a great job. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you there. Of course, again, like you said, you
There you go.
I'm going to say that we win because, of course, I'm going to say that we win.
Yeah. Somebody throw a flag on that.
I don't know. Well, do you have one? Do you have the balls? Do you have the? Oh my God! So this guy has the balls.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like him. He's got the balls.
He does. And at least his are fully inflated.
That's hey. I don't want to talk about that. That's why I said that's signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the NBA thing. All right. Minnesota's going to go into Chicago and take on the Thanks, Coach. Minnesota's going to go into Chicago, take on the Bears. It's the Bears team. That's in a free fall. They're like the Titans of the AFC. I think Minnesota gets a win just clearly by accident. I think it's just proceeding, so to speak, for Minnesota, but I don't think they're really going to move much one way or the other, quite frankly. But I guess it depends a little bit on what the Eagles do. But it is what it is. Brad Allen is the official for that one.
He's actually a good ref.
Oh, he's one of the better ones. Yeah, there's no question about that. Yeah, I mean, someday if we want to have a show about ranking the whiteouts, we can do that. But he's up there with. He might be number 2 behind Vinovich, quite frankly. Let me look at Novak, Vinovich, Lane Clark, Clay Martin. Clete Blakeman's pretty good, like Carl Sheffers. So maybe Brad Allen is maybe number 4 in my book.
He's top 5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's absolutely top 5. Because Sean Hockley's in there as well. And actually, I don't know Adrian Hill, but his stock has moved up a lot in the last couple of weeks. And then Sean Smith, wasn't he the official and his crew in Buffalo? Sean Smith and his crew was in Buffalo on Monday night and did a really good job handling all the situations there. Houston going to go to Indianapolis, play a game, doesn't matter. New York Jets going to go into Miami and basically play a game. It doesn't matter. I think Miami's hopes are kind of like Seattle's, if you will. They could win and still not make it, but I don't think they may not even win. Tua's out. I think the Dolphins are just kind of folded.
And Bridgewater's got a pinky issue, so who knows who the third string guy is?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, but it just means you're down to third string quarterback playing the Jets defense.
You know what I'm saying, Wayne. Don't go that way. Not that there's anything wrong with you.
Yeah, Miami. Actually, that's a good question. And I agree with Ed. Jim Toney was, if he wasn't the best, he was number 2.
Yeah, Jim was good.
Miami on the clock. You know what? That's a really good point. I don't think we've put Miami on the clock yet.
No,
but I think,
not yet.
No, we kept them off because they kept winning.
Methinks we should, but at least this week, I think Detroit, Tennessee. We should have gambled on Miami. As soon as Tua wasn't playing well enough, really, we probably should have. We should have talked about Miami more. I don't think we gave the Dolphins enough attention as far as them being potential on the clock because we like to be proactive and we like to be right. Sometimes we're not either, but oftentimes we are. In any case, they're holding on for their playoff lives. I actually think I like Pittsburgh's chances better for that number 6 seed. Carolina going to go into New Orleans, play a game. It doesn't matter. Cleveland going to go to Pittsburgh, play a game. A little bit matters. The Steelers can still make the playoffs. So this is an important win for them at home. I don't think Cleveland's going to get it done in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. Maybe if this game was in Cleveland, maybe. But this is an old rivalry, way back from almost the beginning of time, if you will. These are 2 old franchises. Even when the NFL reorganized under the merger, and this was the AFC Central, these teams go back a long way. I like the Steelers at home. What do you guys think?
Got the Steelers myself. Yes, sir. They are churning. Even though they're not scoring a lot of points, but that D is holding court. So I got the Steelers at home.
Yeah, I'd like the Steelers to get the win, and I'd like them to get the playoffs. Matt says Miami might be in the car sweepstakes with Tua
Yeah.
there, unless
What?
maybe if Tua's done, maybe if Tua's done.
Yeah,
But
Wow.
if Tua has to retire,
Night,
then
Ed.
we need a quarterback.
good night, Ed.
Night.
Ed, be here next week if the Chiefs win, man. Be
Oh,
here.
win.
We're gonna give away some cool stuff, and a lot of it, not just like one thing. We're gonna unload some really cool Raider stuff. Devontae, true Raider, he won't jump ship. I agree with you on that front.
No, he said.
Hey, look, the Super Bowl's in Las Vegas. Nobody's going
That's
anywhere.
right. Nobody's
That doesn't
going
have
anywhere.
to.
That don't have to.
That
You
don't
got
have
it.
to. They're,
You got it.
even if the Raiders don't get in to the playoffs or even advance to the Bowl, they're going to hang around just for the sheer drama of the Super Bowl being played in Las
That
Vegas. Where
Super
else would
Bowl
you rather
run.
be?
That Super Bowl run. Exactly.
Let's see. So the Giants are going to go into Philadelphia and play the Eagles. The Eagles have something to play for. The Giants want to win, but more importantly, they want to get out of there with a bunch of people not getting banged up.
Yeah.
This is not the time you want, Barkley going down or Jones going down or anybody else going down from that standpoint with an injury or being out with an injury of any kind. But the Eagles now are challenging, San Francisco and Minnesota. Minnesota's got 12 wins. San Francisco's 12 wins. The Eagles have 13 wins. So Minnesota's still in the argument for a top seed, whether it's one or two. San Francisco's in there. So the Eagles have something to play for. They have it at this point with the 1-game lead. But if Jalen Hurts doesn't play again this week, I think there's a couple issues. They could end up getting beat by the Giants. And even if they don't, and Minshew manages to beat the Giants and the Eagles end up as the number 1 seed, Hurts is going to come back after almost a full month of being out. He'll have another bye week if they're the number 1 seed. So that'll be at least a full month, maybe a few days more, where he hasn't thrown a pass. That actually maybe could cause some problems for the Eagles going to the playoffs, no?
It might backfire on them, but I could definitely see them doing that with Hurts, not rushing him back. Let Minshew kind of be the bridge until they get in the playoffs. Then Hurts will come back. So they've given him more weeks and more days as they can stretch to let him heal.
Interesting. That couple comments coming in there. I agree with Matt that Tua got 30 million reasons to stick around. I agree with that. One is this: I could see Carr with his.
Devontae.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Adams. Yeah. Sorry, I
Matt.
misread that. Sorry. Yeah. And then it says I could see Carr with one of his old coaches, either Dennis Allen or Del Rio. Del Rio's a defensive coordinator in Washington, but I could see Carr maybe going to Washington, even though Del Rio's not the head coach. Although, as much respect I have for Ron Rivera, he didn't know that the Commodores were out after their loss last week. So maybe Del Rio is the coach. Who knows? And what was the other one? What is the top priority for the Raiders here in the offseason? That's a really loaded question that we could spend a lot of time with. Let's get through.
That's a whole show.
That's another show.
Well, we've talked a lot about that already. And I think because we got somebody in the chat who's taking the time to put in there, we can address it. But let's get to the schedule first. Yeah, I would. Yeah, V, I think in the big summary of things, it's definitely defense. The two things we said on this show earlier already: defense and depth on the offensive line. So if we said nothing else, I think it's that. And then they're going to have to decide who's going to be quarterback. Yeah,
it's supposed to be a D. Sorry, it looks like crap.
Gotcha. I speculated about Carr going to someplace like New Orleans as well.
I can see that too, but like I said, now what are they going to do with Jameson?
So what they should have done a long time ago and make
yeah,
exactly. I mean, the Giants are probably going to end up just resting on the starters because we looked at. Yeah, that's a good point because the Giants may not win this for that very reason, that they're going to rest a bunch of players because their status really doesn't change, win or lose, so to speak. Right. They're in the playoffs. They're going to go wherever they're going to go, and they'll be ready to go when they get there. I'm confident in that. So what they don't want to do is get a bunch of people banged up. You do want to try to keep some folks game ready, so to speak. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win this. In that case, they're the number 1 seed. And then we'll see how it plays out. Dallas going to go into Washington and beat the Commodores. That Dallas kind of same situation that the Giants are in.
Right.
Win or loss doesn't really change them status-wise. They're in the playoffs. They don't want to get anybody hurt. But I don't think even if Dallas rests the players, Washington's going to beat them with the third-string quarterback nobody's heard of, right?
Yeah, it won't happen.
Go on there.
Time for
First
somebody
off,
to get up. But
whose phone is that?
that sounds like
Sorry, that was mine. It's my doctor. Sorry.
There you go.
I had to take that. My bad.
I told you to get them blue pills. It takes. You need to get a script for that. I got some better stuff. They're called Trixie and Juanita. They'll take care of you without a blue pill. You know what I'm talking about? There,
well, this is a small surgery. It's not about.
Yeah, that's what she said. A small surgery. There you go. Yeah.
You guys like
you
Dallas
guys play
or Washington?
nice. I got Dallas in this one, even if they play their second string. Washington just doesn't have enough firepower on offense. The defense may play well, but they're not scoring enough points, man. Dallas will win with the second stringers.
Jerry Jones giving Texas
giving
Snyder some Texas emails. Yeah.
How about them Cowboys?
Happy New Year to you too, Andrew. Is Carr saying he wants the second chance? I don't know. Well, I don't know what he's going to do. He said he wasn't going to play for anybody else, but
that's what I'm waiting to see. That part.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he could retire.
See, Matt's on the same page with me. D tackle, linebacker, and corners. I've been saying it for 10, 15 years. They don't listen.
Yeah. What, I still want to go to a 3-4.
They could do that, but still, you need those three components there.
I totally agree with you. Yes, absolutely.
We're like Swiss cheese right now.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you 100%. But if we're not going to get a pass rush, don't waste 4 defensive linemen on not getting a pass rush.
Yeah, not getting a rush. Yeah.
Playing the 3-4 is going to wipe out a lot of why Crosby is effective. I understand that. But we've had defensive ends that have still won Super Bowls playing a 3-4. So it's possible. My brother-in-law actually.
I like that. George's
my brother-in-law
defense.
Actually. We're talking about how, just from a football perspective only, if Crosby went to the 49ers, can you imagine him across from Bosa?
Oh,
that'd be messed up.
That would be unfair.
Totally. Yeah. We need some Nebraska beef at the D and nose tackle. Yep. Yep. Maybe some Oklahoma beef too.
Just
right now we have Wisconsin bologna.
And if we're gonna bring in beef, let it be some Wagyu, not that that grade C choice. Let's get some Wagyu.
We don't want the fake meat, whatever they're calling that. Yeah. Now, what are the vegetable meat? What do they call that? Fake meat.
They call it a riotous nastiness on your taste buds.
Something like that. Yeah, stud linebackers are hard to come by. I totally agree
Scott,
with you.
You're right. But Scott, they're out there because I'm watching them every season. They're out there.
Well, yeah. Getting them is another thing.
They're out there.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind playing a 4-3 if we got somebody like Ray Lewis in the middle, or something like that. But if you're not going to have a Ray Lewis in the middle, I wouldn't be playing a 4-3. I'm just saying, you got to have somebody that can play. They can hit the middle. They can go sideline to sideline in that middle. If you don't have that middle, you don't have that Ray Lewis, you shouldn't be playing a 4-3.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Talk. I'm like, make me want to go to Taco Bell for some tacos.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting hungry too. Straight car to the Jets. Well, look, if we got some decents out of the Jets,
bring Leonard Williams. Hell yeah.
But Carr would totally bomb it in New York. It's just not his.
He can't play in the cold.
Well, yeah, but I just don't think the system is right for him. I'm not saying that I could totally see him as a New York Jet, but I guess the Raiders, are they really going to trade him to somebody in the conference?
No.
I don't think they will, but there are places that he could go and be effective. He could be effective in Indianapolis. I think in the AFC, I think Indianapolis is the number one place where he could go and be the most effective, like right now. There's other places that could use him, but he's not going to Houston. Right. He's not going to Houston.
Right. The Raiders will trade within the conference if they get a fleecing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
They trade him. They trade him
Yeah.
to Indianapolis, but it'd have to be for a 1. It'd be like a Lawrence Welk trade, a 1 and a 2 and a 3.
A 1 and a 2 and a 3. I remember that.
That's
Yes,
pretty
sir.
good. I'll have to remember that. But that's true. But I agree with you. But Al Davis did that. I mean, he traded Tom Flores, to Buffalo for Darryl LaMonica, so to speak. So he's done that for good reason. In this case, it's not quite the same thing. I understand it. But I think he ends up in the NFC. And there's a lot of places that he could go in the NFC. Washington.
Say Dennis
Chicago.
Allen in New Orleans, man. That I mean, any team in the NFC South would love Derek
would
Carr.
love him.
I totally agree with you, and I think that if he ends up
Even
there,
Tampa.
I agree with you. If it's not in the NFC, if it's not Washington, it's somebody in the NFC South.
Pick an NFC South team, and he'll go there.
Yep, I totally
They're either
agree.
warm or indoors.
Right, and where would he be most effective? I think it'd be in Carolina. They don't ask the quarterback to do a lot. Pretty good defense. Anyway, the Chargers going to go into Denver. Hopefully beat the Broncos. Tough game to predict because, of course, every game this week's a division game. But it really doesn't matter for the Chargers whether they win or lose. They're in the playoffs, so they're going to rest some people and get beat by a Denver Bronco team that almost beat Kansas City in Missouri.
That's what I see happening, Ref. I'm taking Denver at home because of those players in the cold tub, so to speak.
Says Ref, what if Carr goes to Atlanta and backs up Mariota? That'd be funny as hell. I think Mariota's. I
think
agree.
He's gone though.
That'd be funny as hell. But I think if Carr goes to Atlanta, Mariota's done.
Yeah,
or
Mariota might be done anyway. Yeah.
Says honestly,
I think he's done anyway.
Gabe says honestly, if teams are smart, they won't trade for Carr because of his big conference. Because of the fact that if they don't get a trade anyway, they're going to cut him. So maybe.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to see how this plays out. We could speculate till we turn pink.
I know
about what we think's gonna happen. Mariota maybe very well. I don't know if Mariota gave up on Atlanta or Atlanta gave up on Mariota, but there's something going on.
Atlanta gave up on Mariota.
Probably. Rams gonna go into Seattle. Can they upset the Seahawks? It doesn't really matter. Look, Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit are in it for the 6th seed in the NFC. None of it matters if the Packers beat the Lions. It all matters if Detroit wins, because if Detroit wins, they need Seattle to lose. If Detroit loses, Seattle's in. If they win, all that doesn't matter because I think the Packers are going to get it done. But I would not be surprised if the Rams can't go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks when they couldn't beat the Chargers essentially at home last week.
I got Seattle at home. I'm sure the weather's going to be nice and wet and cold. Rams don't like that.
You need to answer your phone for the doctor.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Right. I like the Seahawks at home. San Francisco is going to play the Cardinals at home. San Francisco is playing for a lot. They can get the number 1 seed. They don't want to get anybody banged up. So this is a tricky situation for some of these teams that have something at stake, like a number 1 seed. It's a tricky weekend. You're playing a division mate. You don't want to get people hurt. You would like to win the game. Maybe they don't care if they don't. What do you think's the state of the 49ers right now? You think they're going to be all in, or do you think they're just going to walk this one out and let the Angry Birds try to figure out how to beat them?
I think they walk it out, guys, because Arizona's got a lot of banged up guys. They're already probably got their Louis Vuittons already packed and ready to catch the flights. I'm saying even with their second stringers, San Francisco takes care of business at home.
I would think so too, and I agree with you because Arizona's down to what, 4th-string quarterback or something. So, and I don't think Jim Hart's coming back.
They're packing it in.
2 of the bigger games in the week: Detroit going to go into Green Bay, take on the Packers. I think the Lions are done. They've had a really good season, blah blah blah, but I think it's over in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
I need to ask you this: what week are we in?
18.
What week are we in?
18.
And how many times have I told you it's Detroit?
Right.
You are an imbecile. This is the end of the season. It's the last game of the season. Detroit. My God, I don't know if I can come back next year.
Well,
if you're going to be such city.
If I figure out,
piss me off.
Frenchie,
say it one time. Say it one time. Detroit.
Give it to him,
Detroit.
bro. There you go. Detroit.
So now you
Yeah,
can come back
yeah,
next season.
people cool.
But honestly, if I said it correctly, you wouldn't have anything to comment on. So I'm just trying to give
you
you
ever
some
call it
space.
Detroit again. It's Detroit for you bastard.
That's called a balancing act right there,
I
baby.
walked into
Huh?
that one.
Hey, walk it out.
Detroit.
I walked into
Detroit. You see how it means?
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
They're gonna pretty much fare like their mates over in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We go to North, and it's a great season. But I tell you, next year, you look out.
Lions in an upset only if the Packers turn the ball over like 4 times.
I don't know.
Look. The Lions are number 4 in scoring. You can't argue that they're putting up points, but I think that comes to an end this week. Jared Goff is the quarterback, and I know everybody's all liquored up on the way the Lions have been playing, but they've looked ugly in games they should have won. They shouldn't be in this spot. I think the other thing is interesting is that they're a plus 22, which doesn't sound great, but the Packers are only a plus 3. It's very even on paper. They've lost. Detroit's 8-8, lost their games by a total of 78 points. The Packers are 8-8 and lost their games by a total of 73 points. So this game is all about whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to make a statement and get the Packers back in the playoffs. I'm going to lean on what might not be the football pick, but I'm going to take the Packers at home. The Lions are certainly capable of winning that one, and if they do, then they're in with the Seahawks loss.
Right.
What I don't want.
Aaron Rodgers said RELEX. No, he's going to be saying RIGGED.
I think so. The thing is, what I don't want is for the Lions to win, and then Seattle wins, and then Seattle's in. Because of the 3 teams, they're the worst of the 3 teams, and I want the best teams as possible to make the playoffs. Detroit, for all we rag on them, is the better team between Seattle. Maybe they're the best of all 3, but I want the Packers to prove that they're not, and that's how it's going to work. Baltimore will be in Cincinnati to take on the Bengals for potentially the division title. We would have known a lot more about that game and the outcome of it and its importance had the Monday night game concluded. But in this case, it is what it is. You guys like the Ravens on the road? I think the Bengals, despite the fact that they had a tough game on Monday night, I think mentally they'll be in better place maybe than Buffalo is, and we'll give Buffalo credit for being able to rebound it. But Cincinnati at 11-4, the Ravens at 10-6. Cincinnati won the first one, so I think they're going to win this one. I think the other thing here is that the Bengals are a plus 85, and they are, where are they in scoring? They're in the top 10. They're number 8.
Yeah,
they're number 8.
I missed it by that much. I said
Baltimore's number 20. So the Bengals are not only playing better football right now, but they're well rested because they didn't play a full game on Monday night. So the Ravens are probably not even out of the whirlpool after having played Pittsburgh this last week. So
I think Bengals can sneak up and be the number 1 seed because again, I think that they're going to take the Ravens. I'm not sure about the psyche of Buffalo, and I think the Raiders beat the Chiefs. And if all of that happens, I think Bengals are the number 1 seed.
Well, Bengals are 11-4. So they're 2 games behind the Chiefs with 1 game to play. So I'm not.
They might go, but remember, they beat the Chiefs. If they go to percentages and then they do head to head,
they have a kind of.
But they would have had to. That's absolutely true. Had they beaten Buffalo on Monday night and they beaten Baltimore, they'd be 13-4, and the Chiefs would be either 14-3 or 13-4, and then Cincinnati would. But I don't see that happening now for 2 reasons. First of all, they're currently 2 games behind the Chiefs with if you will, the half game that wasn't played on Monday night, and there's only 1 game to play. So unless the NFL resolves somehow that Buffalo-Cincinnati game, I don't see a scenario at the moment where Cincinnati could get the number 1 seed.
Well, it depends and again, I'm not a math whiz, but it would have to be by the percentage.
Okay. Well, I think what happens is I think Buffalo wins, Cincinnati wins, and then it doesn't matter then it does matter what the Chiefs did on Saturday, because then Buffalo would be the number 1 seed. So I think Cincinnati. My point here is I think Cincinnati ends up being the number 3 seed, no matter what, unless the NFL figures out some way to manage the Buffalo Cincinnati game. But I think my take is that Cincinnati ends up as the number 3 seed.
Well, I'm taking Cincy in this one because I think that game from Monday will be rescheduled week 19, I guess. And,
because you think, but how could they reschedule week 19 if they're both in the playoffs? I mean, because only one team gets a bye.
They're talking about pushing everything back a week, which will really piss people off that have like plans that have already made the plans.
Well,
but then they'll have the conference championship game the week before that was supposed to be the off week. Right. And then they'll have the Super Bowl on the same date because they don't want to screw up the plans.
All
of the people in the Super Bowl. So they'll do. It'll be the first time if they do what V is saying. It'll be the first time that they had the conference championship game 1 week from the Super Bowl since I don't know the Raiders-Bucs Super Bowl was the last time they did that.
It's been a while, and they've moved the Super Bowl before, so they know they can do that, but or potentially do that because they have a blueprint for that. But here's the thing: from a competitive standpoint, if you do that, then you've given all the teams a bye that didn't deserve a bye. So what's the point of getting the number 1 seed if you're not going to get if everybody's going to get a bye anyway? What's the incentive of even being the number 1 seed? You're going to get a bye, but then so is everybody else. So if you're Minnesota, what's your incentive to go into Chicago and beat the Bears if they're going to end up getting a bye regardless of what your seed is?
I got you. Yeah.
I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't true or doable, because it is doable. But playing a regular season game after the playoffs have started.
Where you're the only team playing. I don't think it's going to happen there, Wayne. I'm just saying. I think
it might not. Thinking about what Ref just said, because all the other teams would be complaining like, wait a minute, what's the use of getting here if everybody's got to bye with us? So it makes sense. But how do they fill that game in? Or
I just don't know how you play a regular season game after the playoffs have already started.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to do that, they have to postpone the playoffs, including the wild card weekend, in which case the only teams that don't get a bye are Cincinnati and Buffalo, and Buffalo wins. Then if Buffalo wins against New England, and then they have to play the makeup game with Cincinnati, they win that. They would have gotten the number 1 seed, but they're not the number 1 seed because they pushed the playoffs out. So it's messed up.
Well, can they just call it like they do in boxing, a draw?
No, because it was 7-3. If it was 0-0, 3-3, if it had been otherwise a tie game, they could have called it a tie game and let the tiebreaker system figure it all out.
You got it.
But it's not even a tie game. Yeah. So I think what they wanted to do was move forward to week 18 and hope by some miracle the balance of the seeding doesn't matter based on the way the week 18 games play out. And I think what they're hoping is they can avoid having a makeup game if they don't need a makeup game, because Buffalo loses, or Buffalo loses and the Chiefs win. They don't have to make up the Bengals game because the seeding doesn't matter. Now, the tiebreaker would matter, but there's no tiebreaker to be had now. So if Buffalo loses to New England and the Chiefs beat the Raiders, Buffalo's the number 2 seed no matter what, or could be the number 3, but we have to see what. But if Buffalo loses, Cincinnati loses, and the Chiefs win, nobody has to make up any games because Kansas City would have the best record. Buffalo would be number 2. Cincinnati would be number 3. Everybody just keeps going. Where it gets dorked up is if Buffalo wins, Cincinnati wins, and the Chiefs lose. That's when it gets dorked up.
I think
Everybody is the number 1 seed. Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it. So this is totally unprecedented for us to happen so late in the season. If this were week 15 or something, maybe, but it's going to get weird. Maybe, depending on how week 18 goes. But I think at some point they'll just figure out a way to abandon that game. I just don't know. I'm not saying they won't extend the playoffs, but I don't. So the other option is that after week 18, Buffalo and Cincinnati play the following Saturday, and you push wild card weekend out another week. You're right, because you have that extra week between the conference championship and the Super Bowl, you can do that.
Yeah.
But then the only disadvantage, if you will, is that either the number 1 seed gets 2 bye weeks, or everybody else gets a bye week except for Cincinnati and Buffalo. And I don't know if that's fair or not. It seems odd, but maybe that's what they have to do. Maybe that's what they have to do. And maybe that's what they will do. But
yeah, that's going to be interesting though, because that's coming up.
The other option I thought they could do is they could, after Sunday, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but what I'm saying is you could have Cincinnati and Buffalo play on Thursday, and then their requisite playoff games are on Monday night.
And they still be on schedule.
Following wild card weekend.
Right.
And you have a playoff game on you have playoff games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
That's probably the best scenario. Then everything would stay on schedule.
And I don't know if that's a good idea, but it's not unprecedented for teams to have to play on Thursday after having played on Sunday.
It's 4 days, 4 days. So it'd be kind of.
Not sure that's a great idea. Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, maybe so. Just let Buffalo, Cincinnati call their
forgetting Lizard Spock. Rock, paper, scissors, Lizard.
That's what I was laughing at. That was a good one, Patriot. Yeah.
Yeah, let the Raiders and Texas.
I kind of like that scenario better right there.
Well, I wouldn't mind the Raiders being in those playoff spots. I don't know if I'd take Houston. I think I'd want. Let's see, who would I want? I'd want Pittsburgh or Miami, but only if Tua's playing. But yeah, I get why they said that. It's still good.
Yeah.
Matt said Stidham with 3 years in the same New England system as backup is similar to Rodgers in the Packers system. Hopefully, has a chance to continue this system. I don't see why he wouldn't. That'd be interesting.
But I don't think he's a starter going forward. I really don't.
Well, probably not immediately, but I think we'll see this week if last week was an anomaly or if he's going to be. We could still lose, but if he's still consistently or a little better, even in a loss, that's encouraging. If he goes out and does a Baker Mayfield, where he looked like gangbusters in LA and then went to Green Bay and bombed out, that maybe is a different story. So we'll see let's see what Stidham we get this week.
I just see him as insurance. They already got their eye on what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep it stealth as usual. But I see him as our backup quarterback going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good comments in the chat. I appreciate the fact that
I love it,
that our folks in there are football savvy. They're smart. They're showing that off, and they're talking. They're putting some good stuff in there. Stidham gets 350 and 3 TDs against the Chiefs.
What?
Well, yeah, okay.
That's why I said if he has, and I said this on my previous show, make sure you check out Wild Wild West 7:30s Eastern Time on Captain Jack's show, along with Mile High Roundtable Network and a couple of the different networks. Anyway, I plug our show on there as I needed to plug.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Good stuff.
No, you should. No, you should.
If Stidham does that, he's in the discussion to have it's his team plus whoever they bring in. They'll have a quarterback competition.
So competition. I like that part. Yeah.
It's a competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you, Scott.
Well,
appreciate it, brother.
You got to get the 350 or 350.
Yeah. 350 and 3 TDs. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, we still need a couple more scores, but that'd be cool. Maybe we get a pick six or something. And if we get a pick six or a turnover, and then Carlson adds a couple field goals, that's enough.
Yeah,
that'd be enough.
That's our problem, though, that we've been talking about constantly. We don't create any takeaways. That's our problem. We, as a defense, we're not dominating. We're not forcing anything. It's almost like that bend but don't break stuff from the 70s with Dallas. We don't want that. We never played like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Go out and attack and affect the game from that side of the ball. That's what I grew up seeing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you need some dogs over there. That's all I'm saying to the scouts and the coaching staff. We need some damn dogs on that side of the ball.
Indeed we do. Well, we'll see how it plays out. It could be interesting.
Matter of fact, I'm retired, but I could probably work under the table as a scout. I can travel.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt both of you could. In fact, there's some folks on our show that could as well. Let's not forget the 2 TDs from Jacobs. Oh, yeah. Stidham throws for 2. Jacobs gets 2. Carlson adds a field goal. Game's over. Yeah, Chiefs aren't going to play that hard.
They're going to rest their guys. We already know that.
So I wouldn't mind that. All right. Well, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to Week 18, and then we'll turn the corner into the playoffs. And in any case, it is what it is. You guys going to go to the game?
I'll be there.
Cool.
Front row, baby. I upgraded. That's why I said if you want to go to you
got the ticket. Game, yeah. Okay.
Want to go to the game? Two Captain Jack seats, only $1,000, or make me the better, or you make me the
Sounding good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Next week, our Week 19 show, playoffs. Somebody say playoffs?
Playoffs.
That's got to be the most overused phrase ever, but it's funny as stuff.
No, but it'll never get old, buddy.
It never gets old. And if we're coming back next week to celebrate a Raiders win,
I want to see that. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And not for Alex. There's a guy. Well, you know who it is. KC Hefe. I just wanted.
Will he be on the show next week?
No, but he'll be on Wild Wild West.
Okay, gotcha.
He's been banned on my channel, so you know.
He's one of those. Okay.
Yeah, he's been kicked off. He said, "I still love you, Captain." And I didn't say a word. I wasn't even giving him spit.
I got you.
All right. We'll take care, everybody, and it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully next year we're talking playoffs, but until then.
Yes. Hopefully so.
Yep. Take care.
But be about damn time.
Exactly. Yeah, we're getting old.
I'm cutting them no slack, bro. No more excuses. Do it. What they say, shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. Put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. Frenchie, you good for next week or no?
Yeah, feel serious. I'm always good for next week, man.
All right.
Right on, Frenchie.
Take care, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Frenchie says you're too.
Happy New Year, Frenchie. Happy New Year.